Hey, it's Bunny. We're here today to do a little bit of painting, and today we are painting a selection of mushrooms. Love mushrooms. And yes, while you're guessing about why, I do require mushrooms for an upcoming campaign. Yes. Yes, I do. So we're going to first of all slap this. This is kind of a warm beige color on the base of the mushrooms. We're not doing the top. Okay, we're not doing the top this color, because why? I want to get the edges and stuff, because what I don't want is the mushroom having spots where it is kind of exposed. I will do more of this as soon as I get it face down. So these mushrooms, I do need them for an upcoming campaign. I'm just getting paint all over my hand. That's excellent. I need them for an upcoming campaign. And because I need them for an upcoming campaign, and because that campaign is fantasy based, these mushrooms are going to be kind of wonky colors. Like, okay, we all do red mushrooms. We all do that. And we all do green because we're all obsessed with Mario. But I'm also going to do, like, instead of red and green, because I have red and green mushrooms. Haven't we all painted red and green mushrooms before? The tops are going to be, I think I'm going to do like a blue. I'm going to do a pink. I'm going to do, just stop. Blue, pink, purple, something else. You can tell I haven't fully thought ahead what I'm doing, but I'm doing something. So we're just going to paint up these mushrooms, and most mushrooms have like a pale stem or pale undercoat. And so that's a lot of what I'm doing, is just getting the bottoms basically colored in here, even though I am going to come back obviously and hit like the areas that should be green with green. Let's just do the top of this mushroom. We're going to repaint it in a different color later, but it's fine. And so we're just slapping this on, literally slapping this color on, because what we want is just to get ourselves a nice base to start painting. So I want this soft beige on here. And because this is for a fantasy campaign, I'm not going to worry about realism. Could you worry about realism? Sure, if you want to. I have no intention of worrying about realism. Okay, it's not something I'm into, because my campaigns are pretty much exclusively fantasy related, if I'm honest. I rarely have a campaign that's not fantasy based. Sometimes we play sci-fi. You've seen me paint some sci-fi stuff, because on occasion we have sci-fi, but for the most part I'm a fantasy girl, so most of the stuff I paint is fantasy. And this particular campaign that we have been doing, that's why I need these painted now. That's how this became. We're in the middle of a campaign. We're in the middle of a campaign, and in the middle of that campaign, I am in the next session. I need these mushrooms. So I film on Sunday. Okay, I film on Sunday. Our sessions are Wednesdays, so this gives me enough time to get them painted, as long as it's not something that's like crazy. So I painted some things that take a couple of days because there's so many passes of different colors, and I mean the dry time, right? But something like this I can finish painting in a day. It's not really that big a deal. But it gives me time, like the paint really has to set well before you seal it. You want to make sure everything is well set, And then the curing process takes a couple of days once you spray them. You don't want to handle them too much. So, yeah, don't have a ton of time. But I like that mushroom. That one might be my favorite. I kind of like the taller mushrooms. They're kind of cool. I kind of like them. And this little mushroom, well, it's not little, but there are a bunch of little mushrooms all attached together. This one I like too, but I like that tall guy. He reminds me of a Smurf. And yes, I used to watch Smurfs. Who didn't watch Smurfs? If you didn't watch Smurfs, what were you doing? I was watching Smurfs. I watched a lot of Smurfs. And then I have to decide for this one, do I want the mushrooms to be different colors? The answer is probably not. Generally, one type of mushroom comes in that one color, right? So generally, you're not like, oh, that mushroom has 6 different color tops. So I'm thinking I might do green on one of them, but I don't know. I haven't quite thought that far ahead. But I'm definitely doing pink, purple, and blue. Maybe yellow. I don't know. We'll see if I decide to do yellow. I decide to do one of them yellow. If I were going to do one yellow, it would be the small cluster of dudes. That one would get yellow. Probably this one's going to get purple. The flat one that I painted first will probably get pink because that one's I like the shape. It's not my favorite. I like the tall guy, but I like the shape of the other one. So we'll see. We will see. Okay. We're not painting this top one yet, only because it's going to get messy when I paint up under my fingers. So we're just kind of avoiding that area for now. But I do want to get it all done because why not? Why not just do it in one pass? And this is a decent paint. Like it's got it. I don't have to thin it. It comes out of the bottle like this. So I kind of like that. I like a paint where you don't have to thin it, you don't have to let it thicken. If your paint is too thin, just let it sit. Like let it sit uncovered and some of the water will evaporate. And that solves that particular problem. I know it sounds like a cheating way to solve that particular problem. And it kind of is, but it also works. So if it works, why not, right? So don't be afraid to do that. If your paint is just too thin, too watery for your taste, just walk away for a little bit. It'll tighten up. Okay. Just trying to keep off the edge where I'm gripping, which I am not being successful at, but whatever. Doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just deciding for that tall guy. I really like greens. I might do another green mushroom. I'll just use a brighter green than I did last time I painted mushrooms, so all my green mushrooms aren't the same color. I definitely don't need to paint any more reds. Because hands up if you've painted 800 red mushrooms. I don't need any more red mushrooms. If I want red mushrooms, I have a drawer full of red mushrooms. Okay. That's literally going to be it until we let that dry. Okay? We're going to let those guys dry, come back, muck around, decide what we want to do with them then. But for right now, that's literally it. So we'll be right back. Okay, let's turn these guys over and get some paint on here. So I'm going to have to do 2 coats of the pink, which I'll probably do the second coat off camera, only because 1, the brand of paint I'm using isn't fantastic, but 2, pinks tend not to cover great, right? Sometimes pinks they really do better with a layer of white, but if I have to do 2 layers anyway, I might as well do 2 layers of pink. Have a nice, deep, rich pink. This is a rose color. So I'll probably do that off camera. And then we're going to get our edge. Gonna get our edge. Nice and careful. See, the edge is coloring better because there's already a layer of paint there. So I will come back off camera and deepen that edge a little bit. But I'll come back off camera and do a little more on the top, because look at the difference. Like, this needs more paint, obviously. So I'll come back and do that after it's dry. The second coat needs to always be, after the first coat is 100% dry. Okay. And then I just want to get these little dudes, just the tops and the rims, just the tops and the rims. Doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect, right? I'm gonna come back. Okay. I want to do more, but I'm not going to. Okay. There we go. Get rid of that color. Switch paintbrushes, because this one's going to be a little bit more annoying. Switch paintbrushes. And we're going to do, whoops, knocked everybody over. So nice of me. We are going to do green. Okay, I'm just going to dab on some green. These mushrooms are going to be green. I like green mushrooms. I wasn't going to do green, but then I changed my mind. I decided green was better than yellow, because I was thinking about yellow. But ultimately I decided no on the yellows. I just decided yellow wasn't my thing. There was too much paint on my brush, if you wonder why I did that. Wonder why I did that? There's too much paint on my brush for where I was painting. So, okay. Get these little rounded bits and bobs. Rounded bits and bobs are getting painted green. The rounded tops. The rounded bits and bobs. That's what we're doing. There we go. We don't want to ruin what we just did on the other side. We're going to be careful. We're going to be careful. So off camera, I'm coming to do a second coat. The rounded bits and bob. Any of the rounded bits and bob spots, I'm going to do. There's also a skull on here that I'm going to come in and do, which will be fun. I'm deciding if I should paint the skull at all. Sometimes you decide to just let the wash speak for itself. Like, I could just leave it. I'm thinking maybe I won't just leave it. Maybe I'll do a little toasted marshmallow or something. Or I could do some gold. That actually might look kind of fun. If I do these rounded tops. I'm going to get the rounded tops for these. Rounded tops. Some rounded tops underneath that you have to do. Yeah, maybe I'll do gold skull. That could actually be kind of cool. Actually be kind of fun. Rounded bits and bobs. I think that's kind of sort of a rounded bits and bob is getting painted green. It's a rounded part, it's getting painted green. I don't care. I don't care. It's getting painted green. I like green. I actually really like green. Okay. Alright, here's the thing. These rounded bits and bobs, I'm going to end up painting on the skull. I just don't care. We will worry about painting the skull a different color when the green dries. I don't know if we should hit it with gold, or I don't know. I'll think about it, or just hit it with a toasted marshmallow, kind of a bony color. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Rounded bits and bobs. That's what we have to do, is the rounded bits and bobs. So I'm checking. It's for more rounded bits and bobs. I think we're good. Now we're gonna go back to our bigger brush, and we're going to do some blue. It's not a bad blue, but this blue, I'm using up this paint because this is not a great brand of paint, to be honest. I don't love this paint. I'm gonna be honest, it's not my favorite. So I think what I'm going to do is come back with another coat, because that's actually, this brand of paint is actually not good. I won't buy this one again. This was I can't even remember what the brand is. I don't even have it in the bottle. I was trying to thicken it up, but it's a very thin paint. So I don't love it. So we're just using up some of this, but I will have to come back and do a second coat on that one too, which I will also do off camera. And now we're going to take this one and we're going to do our purple. That was a lot of paint on my brush. Good thing I had a nice flat surface to drop it on. We'll do our purple. Our nice flat topped purple mushrooms. Do you have to do purple? Of course not. Again, these are for a fantasy campaign. So if you're working for a fantasy campaign, what are the rules? There aren't any. You can do as much or as little as you want. And I might do, after I've done a wash, so I'm going to do like a sepia or an umbra wash. I'm not quite sure which yet. But after I do that, I am going to probably do a little dry brushing. And honestly, I might do a little bit of gold dry brushing on these, just to kind of give them a glitter that they didn't necessarily have before. Because if we're going to be fantasy, we might as well embrace it. We might as well make them glow. We might as well make them glow. Right? We might as well make these guys glow like they're a magical, mystical plant. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll come back. Oops. We'll come back, hit them with a very nice accent color. There's a fly in here, and I don't like flies. Okay. This flat top. And then I'm going to switch to the smaller brush. I'm going to switch to that smaller brush because there are smaller bits and bobs I really want to get. And it's just better to switch. Like, don't worry about using too many brushes. If you're doing a large spot, do a large brush and then switch to a small brush for the small spots. I've heard some people get concerned about using up too many brushes, but you just wash them. Or if your brush is running out of life anyway, You just get rid of it. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. I will do a couple more coats on a couple of the other colors while I'm off camera because that pink is not going to dry well. And then we will come back and carry on, and we'll have a little fun adding some detail to the mushrooms. So we'll see. Okay, let's just take these guys and drag. There's some mushroom edges here too. Drag that. A little more paint on my brush. So yeah, don't be afraid to switch brush sizes. I've seen a lot of people think, well, I've got to start with the tiny brush because I've got tiny things to paint. Yeah, you can start with that tiny brush. But honestly, just switch. Just switch. It'll take forever. Like painting a large area with a small brush. Yeah, I've done it. It takes forever. Just switch brushes. Okay? This is why in the video I did regarding what tools you need, I talked about big brushes and little brushes. You don't need 1,000 brushes. Okay. And there. And what we're going to do is we'll have to do a little white. I don't know if we'll come back or just stand up like, a mushroom. Okay, hang on a second. I just need a different color. Nope. I just need a slightly different color. Just for the skull, I'm going to use a toasted marshmallow instead of the exact same color that we used before. Yeah. I need my paper towel. That was a little too wet. It's okay. If you accidentally have too much water, you can usually just press a paper towel into it, because that was literally the problem I just had, is there was too much water because I didn't dry my brush after I rinsed it. So you should have a paper towel or a cloth sitting nearby, and then you can properly rinse your brush. Okay, now we're not going to mess that up. We're going to paint this darker color here. I don't actually want full coverage, so I need a little more water than that. I don't want a real wash. There we go. I don't want a real wash, but I don't want full coverage. I want some of the paler color to come through, so I'm making sure I don't completely cover. I don't want to completely cover. We want to see some of that through there. We just want this area. Scrape. I'm actually scraping some of the paint off with the edge of the brush, which you're not supposed to do, but I'm doing it anyway. Because I don't want to see only brown. I want to see some of that warm beige through it. And see some of it. Okay, he's done. Next up, we are going to do blue. we go. I had to put more blue on my palette. Okay, not that much blue. I picked up a hair. I have dogs. When you have dogs, sometimes you pick up a hair. It's just the way it is. It's literally just the way it is. Fly in here. September. There's always flies in September. Try to get them out of the house, but anyone else have a problem with flies in the house? We are having a problem with that right now. It's mostly because I have children and they don't shut the door. So can you blame the flies for flying in? Not particularly, no. So it's not exactly the flies' fault. It's my children's fault. They don't shut doors. I'm sure other people have that experience with their kids. Shut the door! Otherwise the mosquitoes get in the house. It is a universal experience, I'm pretty sure. Eventually they'll learn to shut the door. They're just in a rush, right? I guess we all used to do that. I think most of us used to leave the door open when we were kids. I'm sure our parents nuts. So that's just the way life goes. Alright, I'm going to need some gray, I think. The purple flat top mushroom. I think I'm just going to do their base gray. Like they're growing out of a rock. Oops, haha, knocked that one over. I'm making some decisions on the fly here. Need some green for this greenery. Hang on. Combination of there's occasionally a dog hair, and then the other problem is my brush is falling apart. I'm using a pretty ratty brush, so sometimes there's a little piece of brush that wants to come out. Okay, a little bit of brown. Okay, I need a little bit of gray. Not a ton, just enough for the bottom. Actually, there's some mushrooms I didn't hit. There. 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 Okay, now let's grab that gray. Won't need a ton of it. I don't need a ton of the gray, just the base here. Just the base. Then we just got to come back and do a pass of a little bit of white. You know, just there's some dots on some of the mushrooms, just the blue and the pink. That basically is white. So I want to do that. And on this one, there's a couple of spots I want to hit a different color. It's going to be this color, not this color, the original beige. Because there's a couple of spots where there's a mushroom stem that I didn't see until I went over it. That's okay. We will let it dry and fix it, because I only fix things if they're going to bug me. Like when you make a mistake, you decide if you can live with that mistake. Okay, we're going to let it fall over, and we're going to stand it back up. Stay. All right. We're going to come back and hit it with its final batch of color. It'll be fun. I really like mushrooms, and these are fantasy mushrooms, so no, they're not regular colors. They're fantasy colors. Anyway, we'll be back to just use a little bit of white and do a little bit of touch-up here and there before we do a wash. Okay, we're just going to go in and just here and there where there's little raised areas, just gonna use my fingers to see them. Just do some little dots. Not a ton, just where there's a few there. And we're going to go down on these guys. And then, does this one need one? Yes. Only if the mushrooms actually have that on them. So this mushroom doesn't have that. Okay, this one does. This one has a couple of spots that we're going to just overlay with white. Just to give it a little dimension. The other one doesn't, like the purple one doesn't have that. I'm just gonna hit some of this. Hit some of these edges. My hand's a little unsteady right now, which is annoying. Someone had noticed in an earlier video that my hands shake. And the answer is yeah, they do, I know. I said, are your hands shaking? Yeah, my hands shake. I have an autoimmune disease. So, like a lot of people. Right, I'm not the only one. So, it happens. Let's see. Do we have any down here? A little up here. After this, we're going to do... I'm just gonna hit a couple of these edges with white. But after this, we're going to do the wash. There we go. Looking good. Let's look on this little mushroom here. A little bit of white there. A little bit of white here and white there. And that is going to be it. That's all we're doing. Okay, I do have a little bit on this one to touch up, but I gotta change color for that. This one needs a little more purple here. And a little purple in there. A little on that one. Otherwise, we're good. We are calling that good. We will be back. And we will do either a sepia or an umber wash. I haven't quite decided. And then we will dry brush. Just 2 steps left. And then we're going to call it done. We're not going to fuss too much with these guys. We're literally not. Okay. We're going to start adding a very dark wash. I decided to go with an umber because I want all of these grooves. See, mushrooms have a lot of detail. that you don't always see, right? Mushrooms have a lot of detail. You don't always see that detail because there's a lot of grooves. So we're going to use just a simple wash to bring out these grooves, okay? And this wash, you can buy washes, yeah, or you can just make your own. It's basically really diluted paint. Okay, that's what a wash is super diluted paint. So diluted to whatever consistency makes you happy, really. Like, what do you like for paint, for washes? I like, it depends. Like sometimes I like to do a really dark wash, and so I make it a little bit thicker. Sometimes I do a much lighter wash. Depends. It depends how I'm feeling, honestly. Mostly it depends on my mood. There's a lot of times where I don't care that much and I use whatever and I won't even bother thickening it or diluting it because I don't care. Like, I don't care that much sometimes. I just want these details to come out. So I just load it up with a wash. And you can always do a second coat of wash if you think you need it. Like if you don't think enough stayed where you wanted, you can always do a second coat. Because that's kind of the point, right? You can do it however you want to do it. Let's just... See, I want these mushrooms darkened up a little bit, and I can't see them from my angle. So we're just going to hit the tops. Hit the tops. Because all these stems have a lot of detail. So I want to get them in. And I've also added to my wash some very fine sand. Very, very fine. So it only picks up a little bit with my brush with each stroke. But the point of the sand is you'll notice that things get a little bit speckly. And that's kind of the point. I want it to be a little speckly. Gives it a little more dimension. Not a ton of sand. Too much sand and it's not going to look good. It'll be like sandy grains everywhere. But in this case, this is what I want it to look like. Because this is, natural and dirty. And if I didn't want it to look natural and dirty, then you could still use washes, but use like a cleaner color. Use like a blue or a pink or, something that shows up a little bit better. Okay, we have to let that dry. Then we will come back, flip it over. All right, as soon as it is completely dry. And the reason the one mushroom is upside down is just because of the way his little features are going to hold the wash. So we'll be right back. For me, it'll be a couple hours. For you, just a few seconds. Okay, let's turn these guys over. This guy doesn't like standing on a soft surface. That's okay. He doesn't have to. If he doesn't want to. Okay, flip these guys over. This guy, let me get mucked up on the top. Stay. You do not need to fall over. This guy gets all his stems mucked up. And the top of his mushroom. Yeah. This guy gets his stem, his little mushroomness all mucked. Because these are mushrooms. They're not supposed to be perfect. Mushrooms. I have 4 mushrooms. I'm going to need these for this campaign that we're doing. And they're tall, big mushrooms, which is what I need. Lots of little mushrooms. I didn't really have very many mushrooms that were big enough to make like a mushroom forest. I had some, and I have another few sets of these that I'm going to paint. Okay. Give these tops a little more blarg. Give these tops a little more blarg. Blarg's important. Okay. So we're going to let that dry. See how they look. It will take a bit to dry, especially that pink one, because that type of paint doesn't really love wash. course, it's going to take a while for that to solidify. So we'll come back and take a look. And just like that, we have beautiful, fancy colors, wonderful little mushrooms for my next campaign. I think they're great. They're going to work well. All I have to do now, take them outside, spray them so that they're sealed. Otherwise, they're done. I like the look. They'll fit in well. Nice and big. Great for our little mushroom forest. Remember, they don't always have to be realistic. They can absolutely come out of your imagination. You're painting them, no one else. So do what you like. But that is all I've got for you today. I hope you'll be back with us next time. Bye!